Hello. I'm giving a minute for everyone to get logged in here. I'm so excited to see you all today, and I am super excited to be talking about all things Alaska. It is one of my favorite places to go, and I know there's a lot of misconceptions maybe about ways to explore Alaska. So today I'm going to be highlighting all the differences of cruising versus land. I can't wait to hear where your head is at and what you think about Alaska vacations. And I am excited to, hear your comments, see what you say. If you're catching this on the replay, give me a comment that you saw it on the replay. So we are going to dive right in. So I would love to know if you think the only way to see Alaska is on a cruise ship, like a big ocean liner type cruise ship. Drop your comments below. I am so excited to tell you. If that is the way you think, I want to burst that bubble in the best way possible. But there are so many different ways to see and experience Alaska and its beauty and its heritage and its culture. There's so many great things to see there. I'm even sporting my Alaska shirt to show off for you guys. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about what people assume is the most common way to see Alaska, and that's cruising in summer months. That is the end of Mayish, maybe early May, through about September cruising. Now, the cool thing about that is there is something called the Inside Passage when you sail on a cruise ship to see all the different ports in Alaska. That's a great way to get a taste and to dive in and see all the different things. There's great cruise ports like Juneau, which is one of the larger cities in the state. And there you can even like do some great experiences to go up near a glacier. There's a walking trail next to a glacier you can do. You can kayak up next to a glacier. There are some great breweries if you love like microbrews and that's your thing when you travel. So Juneau is a great cruise port to see and experience what Alaska has to offer from a nice variety of culture in that city environment. The other one I would say is Skagway, and the Skagway port of call is definitely one of the more known. So when you see people posting pictures on the White Pass Rail, that's where you can catch that and take a train up into Canada before they bus you back down to the cruise port. You can enjoy the small port town and walk it and enjoy a great day in that particular town. There's Ketchikan. Ketchikan is known for the salmon that run upstream. It's known for, I believe, Ketchikan, if I remember right, is where there's a really cool lumberjack show where you can engage with other lumberjack viewers. So that's just a few of the cruise ports in when you sail that Inside Passage. So you go typically one way through the Inside Passage. You can sail Vancouver to Anchorage or Anchorage down to Vancouver. There are some round trip cruises out of Seattle. So you have a little more time on the boat getting to the beautiful scenery before you can actually enjoy those ports of call. But that is an option. That's what we call a closed loop cruise. So it starts and ends in the same port, which is Seattle. Other really cool things about cruising, of course, let's talk about the ease and convenience of it, right? I personally love cruising because I only have to unpack one time, and I get a near all-inclusive experience. What do I mean by near all-inclusive? So a near all-inclusive experience is on a cruise ship, you have your accommodations, you have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner taken care of, snacks throughout the day, there's entertainment. But in a destination like Alaska, you're definitely going to want to budget for excursions, shore excursions, activities off the boat in those beautiful ports of call. So you can budget and plan for that train experience or the lumberjack show or kayaking or hiking or any of the fancy excursions that are out there. There is definitely something for every level of activity every level of capability and accessibility as well. So great options. And because it is Alaska, which is part of the United States, if you do seek accommodations that falls under ADA, then you would be covered with that as well. So, what else do I love about cruising? Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite things. And it was the first way I saw Alaska too, to be honest, because I thought, well, that's the way to go. I don't know that I really like the cold or that I would enjoy that kind of experience. But one of the really exciting things you get to do when you cruise to Alaska is the really great captains of the ships will basically take you up right. It'll feel like you're right next to that glacier. I have seen the Hubbard Glacier. I've seen a couple of others, Mendenhall and such. But the Hubbard, for example, was one on a celebrity cruise ship, and so like your Princess brand and some of the others go into Glacier Bay National Park. That's an exclusive opportunity. But what's really cool is they take you up and you're going to feel like you're really close to it. And you may still be, though, like half a mile away, but the great captains will do a real slow and steady 360-degree turn so that everybody, no matter where you are on the ship, will get beautiful views. So think about engaging all your senses. You will feel the crisp air, you'll hear the crackling ice, you'll smell that salty water. It is an experience that pictures just do not do justice. It is a just unbelievable experience. And I hope that either by cruise ship or a one-day boating experience in Alaska, you get to experience that. I highly, highly recommend it. Other things that you can do from cruising, in one of the cruise ports of call, there's a few different opportunities in the different ports and coastal towns, but there was one coastal town in particular that I got to visit called Icy Strait Point. It is some of the most spectacular whale watching experiences I've ever read about, I've heard about, I've experienced. And even our guides were just amazed at the experience that we got to have. So we, on our first cruise, went in early summertime, early June, and that's when the whales are doing something called bubble feeding. So they basically circle their prey and trap them so that they can eat on the smaller fish. And we had one of the whales that was bubble feeding up against our cruise ship. So we literally could just lean over the rail and look down and see that happening in nature. It was unbelievable. But while we were out on our small boat excursion for that whale watching, I want to say, like, I've lost count. It was like 8 or 9 whales, a pod of whales doing this bubble feeding. Typically, they do it independently. So it was just unusual to see so many together and to see a whale come and breach that water. It is something, again, I have video, I have pictures, but there's something about being that close to something just so magnificent in creation and to see it just doing what it is ingrained to know to do, you know? So I think cruising is a great first way to get a taste of what Alaska is all about, to get a sampling of the different ports and coastal towns. But let me tell you about land adventures. So, land is definitely a different way to see the interior portion, as they say, of Alaska. So you definitely can fly in and out of major towns like Anchorage, like Fairbanks. In summer, they have what we call the midnight sun. It's long days, so you can maximize your time. If you only have a few days to get up there, then you can go literally from early, early in the morning to late at night. I won't say sun up to sundown because it really almost feels like it doesn't set. It's a fascinating experience. Um, but with land, what's really cool is you can take the main thoroughfare road that runs through the state, like the one main highway, if you will, and you can drive into and stay at a wilderness type lodge hotel accommodation in Denali. You may know it as Mount McKinley. It's called Denali now. It is a great experience because there are bus tours that go up into Denali. You could go to the visitor center and get some maps and some ideas of some great hikes. Again, all different levels of activity. So if you really like to get out and connect with nature, Denali is going to be a great place to do that. The other thing too is you can keep going. So in Fairbanks, what I love about Fairbanks is it feels like the doorway to a true interior of Alaska, if you will. Maybe you've heard of or seen that show. It was like Ice Truckers or something like that, where the different truck drivers actually drive on ice and they stop at the different places along the way to get food to the remote parts or services to remote parts of the state. So that is in a little town called Coldfoot. It's about 6 hours northwest of Fairbanks. So you definitely could do a drive up there. Some people do that as like a full long day trip. You could overnight near that truck stop, but one way you can do it is to do a small flight seeing experience from Fairbanks, where you actually fly over the Arctic Circle. You land in Coldfoot, and you could go and engage with some locals. I had the utmost privilege to meet a gentleman named Jack who lives off the grid, if you will, up in way north Alaska. And they shared how they live off the land, how they preserve things. It is a really interesting way of life, and I would highly recommend it. Of course, I think it's really special. I should have brought it to show you today. When you do that flight experience in a small plane, it's like 6 or 8 seats max. But when you fly over it and you come back, they actually give you a certificate that is a certificate of award for flying over the Arctic Circle. So if you like a little bit of adventure, I highly recommend that too. But there's so many other things when you do the land type experience. One, you can choose any time of year. Right now, it is extremely popular for winter experiences. You can go up and you can get on a sled and learn how the Iditarod drivers train their dogs and run for that race and train for that race. You can do that in the summertime too. It's a different kind of experience. So instead of being where it's, like the sled type piece of running with the dogs, it may be you're on a cart with wheels. I did get to meet one Iditarod winner where his training style in summer is he runs like a four-wheeler type vehicle with the dogs pulling him. So he's like completely disassembled the motor. It's just the comfortable four-wheeler because those dogs, it is really fun to see how much they love their owner, how well cared for they are, and that what's just naturally built into them to run and to enjoy that cold weather. So it was a really interesting experience to get to see how that way of life is. So you could go in early spring and see the kickoff of the Iditarod race that runs into Alaska. You could get to know the drivers and their dogs maybe in summer months. So you definitely have some options there. Another nuance is in when you go north, like towards Denali, there's a town called Talkeetna. You have such amazing opportunities for outdoor activities there. That's where a lot of people get into the water to do fishing experiences. They can get in and do kayaking experiences. We met some gentlemen that were all set to go and literally like scale the mountain and hike that way. Of course, they're locals that are very well trained. They were all going in all the proper manner. So I highly recommend that you seek expert guide if that is the kind of adventure that you like. We definitely want you to be safe when you go up and try all of these things. So lots of opportunities there. I'm looking at some notes I've got because, oh, of course, let's talk about one more winter thing that is so much more of an opportunity by land rather than cruising. is the northern lights, the Ariella Borealis. So the further north you go towards that Arctic Circle, that's more of the opportunity to see the greens and the hues and the dancing lights. There is a slight, and you just never know because it is nature, but there is a slight chance that you could see the northern lights when you're on a cruise if you're in one of the very last sailings toward the middle to end of September. Of course, never a guarantee. But the cool thing is if that's something of interest to you, you could actually plan a late fall into winter experience to go up into some really great resort opportunities and private tour opportunities to go and actually seek out the northern lights. Definitely, that would be a highlight of winter travel because of the uniqueness of it, I think. Um, and in when you go up towards Fairbanks, there is a suburb, if you could call it that, or a small town. You can visit North Pole, Alaska. So you can do that within the US. It is a fun store and village and experience. So if you are traveling as a multi-generational family, or you're taking your kids to experience all that Alaska has to offer, definitely it's worth the stop. We got to see Santa and talk to him. I have a certificate where I bought a piece of land in the North Pole. I own a square inch of the North Pole. So it's just all the fun things you can do in your own version of adventure. Just like I say, everyone's definition of luxury is different. Everyone's definition of adventure is different too. I highly recommend going and see Santa while you're there. Would you do that? Would you do these activities and adventures? Are you more of a relaxation, like the scenery? Drop me a comment. I'd love to know how you like to vacation, um, be it by land or by cruise. The other thing that I would say is this, no matter what style, you can tell I get super excited about Alaska. It's one of my favorite places. I can't wait to get back there. Be it doing winter experiences. I really can't wait to get up there for a winter experience. I would love to go back and see some of the friends I've made up there, and learn even more about their heritage. There is the Great Heritage Center in Anchorage, but you may not have time to get there if you're cruising. But I highly suggest get to know our neighbors in Alaska. I mean, I'm putting this video on in Texas. They're as friendly as us Texans and Southerners, and then some. And it's so fun to learn about different cultural ways of life, to see different experiences. You know, living in Texas, we're already past like our coldest part of our winter, likely. So knowing that they still have so many inches of snow, they've had something record crazy, like 110 inches this year. And you could go and play in the snow. You could play with the dogs in the snow, have all of those winter experiences. But again, on the flip side, in summer, a beautiful walk or hike with some of the best scenery and weather. It is absolutely breathtaking. And I hope that you have a couple of ideas of what might be a great way to experience Alaska. I'd love to answer questions if you have questions about what it would be like in different seasons. So feel free to DM me, drop a comment. I can't wait to help you find your next adventure that has a little bit of a sense of relaxed refinement, that sparks curiosity, and most of all, creates deep down joy. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.